every Jeep Wrangler advertisement out there you're going to find is it driving up the side of a mountain or going through a freaking river. Yet over 90% of Jeeps sold never leave the pavement because they're selling a lifestyle. And then here comes Volkswagen, and it doesn't do that.
Welcome to the Coffee with Jeff and Jason podcast. Tune in for freshly brewed discussion on everything you need to know regarding the automotive industry. Here's your hosts, Jeff Tessier and Jason Harris.
We're going to do this video thing. First thing I do is I'm like, we're going to build a video room. So I took one of the rooms that we had in the office. I painted everything green. And it was like 7 coats of paint, by the way, to get the entire room green. Bought that. We bought the lights. We bought the camera. I went in there, and some of the very first videos, I wonder, Austin, if you can actually find those. It was the green screen videos. I think there was only like 3 sessions that we did of the green screen in the green screen room. And then I realized, like, I got a job to do. I got to build a business. This is the stupidest thing ever. Like, what a waste of money. Like, I can't be sitting in the office shooting videos all day. This is horrible. So then I went to the store very frustrated, and I found this pimply little teenage kid, and he's like, dude, you need a GoPro. So then I went and got a GoPro, and I mounted them in the car. And at the time, there was like 2 of them. There was like one up on the windshield here, and then one on like passenger side over on the other side. And I was just like recording, and we were getting those edited and stuff like that. But then it became very obvious, like it was the same position, same scene, same everything. I'm like, something's got to change, right? So I was like, let's put a ad out there. I need what's his name, Austin? Gary V's
D-Rock.
I needed D-Rock. That's what I needed, because at the time, like, that's what Gary was doing. He was like always on the go, shooting a lot of stuff. And I'm like, it's visually appealing because it's just always changing. There's new scenes, new places, new stuff. I needed D-Rock. So we write out this whole thing, and at the very, very end of like the job description, I'm like, all right, I need you to be my D-Rock. If you understand what this means, bypass everything and just DM me directly. We had over 200 applicants like apply for the job, right? Austin was the only one that DM'd me directly on Instagram. So he went and find me. How did you find me on Instagram? You just looked it up? I don't even remember if the Instagram was even big. I don't even know if I had a big Instagram following.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it mentioned in the ad that you had Strategy with Jason Instagram, and I remember looking that up, and yeah, just DM'd you from there.
So he DMs me, and I remember Jamie was my assistant at the time. And I told Jamie, I said, Jamie, found a guy, he's coming in, we're giving him the job. She's like, what? I said, yeah, he's going to come in. I may or may not be back in time for the meeting. Just give him the job. But I did make it back in time, I think, for the meeting, right? I think I did.
Yeah, you were there. I remember the interview was like a few hours after I DM'd you. It was literally the same day.
It was. Oh, that's right. It was the exact same day. I said, dude, if you can come in now.
Wow.
Yeah. That's very quick.
But he knew it. Like I said, you know what I'm trying to achieve? He's like, yes. I'm like, okay, done. You're hired.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the exact idea. Like, because I was a big fan of Gary Vee and what D-Rock was doing for Gary, and I think that concept makes a lot of sense for a lot of business owners. So I think it's a good idea.
I remember because we had went to and the reason I got introduced to Gary was Facebook held a conference in New York City, and at the time we were doing like a stupid amount of Facebook stuff, and Facebook automotive, that kind of segment just started. So like Facebook invited us to come to this conference, and it was going to be Gary Vee. It was a fireside chat with Gary Vee, right? So we went down there, and when we got back from New York, that's where I was like, I need a D-Rock. We got to find one. And what's that? What has that been? What, 6 years, Austin? Close?
4 years.
4 years? No, come on. It's got to be 5. Is that
No.
long? Jeez. All right. Time flies by.
No, it's just 4 years.
Well, I guess that
now.
makes sense. I was probably doing content for about 18 months, I think, prior to me. So it's been, like my content trip has only been about, probably close to 6 years. I bet you probably getting into this winter, it'll be close to 6 years. I know it was wintertime when we first started shooting. That I do remember. It was cold as hell. All right. So
Right.
how's
Yeah, it's interesting how it's evolved. Sorry, what was that?
Well, you know what though? Here's the bottom line. I'm still an amateur at it, right? I mean, think about this. Like I've done over 700 podcasts. I think we've recorded how many terabytes of video?
Countless.
Many.
Well, what would you guess? I don't even know. What would you guess? 5, 10,
I mean,
12?
I have like those 12 like what are
you have
each
the
one of them?
12
4
2 terabyte.
terabytes of hard drives, and there's like 12 of them, and they all have like footage on them. So dozens of
12.
terabytes.
It's 48 terabytes there. Plus, if you haven't cleared anything, right? Like any old stuff, or that's crazy.
48. Maybe some. Let's call it 50. 50 some odd terabytes probably floating around out there of video. Jeez almighty. I made a joke the other day because I was talking to someone and we were talking about building out their like content bucket, right? And he's like, "Well, how far in advance of a content bucket should I build?" And I said, "Well, you need to give yourself a buffer, at least a month, right? Like build a month's worth of bucket before you like kind of go into it." But the ironic thing, I'm thinking about it. I could probably die tomorrow, and you guys could probably still post for the next 18 months, and no one would know.
Probably.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing. All right, so what we want to talk about? Should we get to talk about anything and everything? Should we talk about getting fired? Jeff?
Yeah.
What
Fired.
size?
How to properly fire a vendor that you've had a dedicated business with. Let's talk about that because that's a fresh wound right now. I can talk about this. So, Austin, I don't know if you know this, but we've recently lost a client. All right. And that happens.
Right.
It's okay. All right. But this client we've had for a decade, 10 years. I mean, it's literally probably one of our oldest clients right now. We've seen management change multiple times over the time that we've been with them. Right. And they let us go over email. And I don't know. It rubbed me the wrong way. I just figured after 10 years of service, there would have been a courtesy call, and it's new management. Okay. So again, we get used to this a little bit. So new management place, and they have a tendency of kind of doing things however they want to do it. And I find that new management doesn't necessarily respect the tenure sometimes of some of these partnerships, right? And there were a lot of things about this particular one that rubbed me the wrong way. So I think the one thing for anybody out there that's employing vendors is it's constant communication. You can't assume that your vendor can read your mind and just know what you need to be done. Like I was in constant communication. I would have weekly or bi-weekly huddles. Now huddle is not a meeting, by the way. A huddle is like a 15-minute check-in. Like, all right, this is where my goals are. You working on that? How are the results looking? Okay, good. You go do your job. I'm doing my job. Boom, 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 done. Yeah. Right. And I don't know, man. I'm finding right now, not all of our clients, and I don't think majority of the industry, but I'm finding there's this kind of need or want for just an easy button. Like I just want to hit the easy button. Just don't talk to me. Don't call me. I don't want to get involved in the strategy. I don't want to be a part, of the success or the failure of a campaign. Just automate everything for me. And I don't know. Maybe I'm concerned with this next generation of management is so focused on just automation, easy buttons, that they're forgetting that you actually have to sit down and craft out a strategy. Right?
Yeah, the workload to get to that point, it takes a lot more, right? So you need to have, like you said, those constant communications, check-in points. We can't read the minds either. Like you said, we don't see the traffic flowing into the dealership. We can see outward traffic, but we don't know how that's translating to actual foot traffic in the store, right?
Sure. But let's talk about the breakup. Let's talk about the breakup because that's where I
think that's the most important part here is, like you said, by phone, Would it have been different though? Like, really, you still
Come
probably
on,
would be just as
dude. I didn't even get a text. You know what I mean? Like,
no, but you would have been just as frustrated. But I think it just shows respect and a sense of like ownership of it, right?
I don't know.
Like,
Respect,
some
let's call it
manhood. I don't know.
professionalism.
Like, it's kind of sad to just send an email. You've
It's
been
sad.
great. See ya.
Yeah. Thanks for everything. You've been great. See ya. But let's call it professionalism, right? Hey, Austin, you ever been broken up by email? Anybody ever break you up with you via email?
No, that'd be weird.
It would be awkward, right? You spend 10 years with
Yeah.
somebody, they break up with you.
But by
via email.
text for sure.
You know, I probably would have been okay with the text. Like, why does that seem weird? Does that seem like, I know we're going like total rabbit right here, but like, does that not seem weird that we value like the personalization of a text message over an email? Like does email just feel like, look, guys, maybe because I'm aging myself, and Jeff, you're the same age. I mean, I remember one point in time when you got mail was exciting. I got an email. Somebody sent me something. Like, this is cool, you know, like nobody cares. Like, it actually feels like the most impersonal form of communication anymore is an email. Like, oh, all right, thanks.
Yeah, never thought of it like that, but you're right.
Isn't that funny? What a text message.
Just email etiquette kind of bothers me, how you have to be so formal and be like, hey, how is your day going? And then actually say what you're talking about instead of just getting straight to the point. And yeah, I think that talks to the whole lack of personal element where, yeah, you're trying to be so professional and it just feels all like stiff and corporate, you know?
You know, I've actually been given crap sometimes for being too, you know me, guys, like I email like I text message. I mean, I know you guys have made comments you hate it, but I literally almost put my entire message in the subject line and not even put anything in. I do. I'm horrible. I'm horrible at email. I really am, right? Like, I'm very much so like, you know, I don't even type my first name. You ever notice that? Like, I don't even go, hey, you know, like,
Right.
like, hey, Austin, right? Like, I'm just literally just right into the body of it. Like, because I think it's weird. Like, I'm sending you the message. You know who it is. I don't know.
Oh, I think
Right.
like,
Yeah, there's just so much like unnecessary formalities.
Well, and I find that true in marketing, right? So, like, when it's people that still do, like, is there a place for email marketing? Sure. Is it at the height of my totem pole? Like, probably not.
no.
You know, but like even then, like, I mean, just the lack of just being a human in email is like disgusting. Like, you know, like we don't read drawn out paragraphs of information. You know, like no one consumes content that way. Like, we consume it in these bite-sized text. What's a text message? 124, 126 characters, 130 something. I don't know, something like that, right? I think all emails. Wouldn't it be great if emails were just the same way? You have 130 characters to complete this email, and that is it. That is it. I actually think it'd be better. But you know, I'll be honest with you, it's almost too much now. Like, when we talk about communication, it's too much. Here's guys, this is what I have right now. Like, check this out. I got text message, I got WhatsApp, I got 5 different email addresses, I got Slack, I got Teams. What else? Oh, I got Google Chat.
Yeah.
Like
Facebook Messenger,
LinkedIn Messenger, Facebook
LinkedIn,
Messenger,
yeah.
Insta. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm almost to the point where like the level of connectivity I'm almost kind of bugged with. I don't know if it's actually healthy or not.
Speaking of information overload, let's talk about Elon Musk's new X app. So his plan for this new X, which is formerly Twitter, is that he wants to create an everything in one app. So it's going to have banking, it's going to have social media, obviously, it's going to have e-commerce, sort of like WeChat in China. But yeah, that's essentially his plan, is to combine all the different apps into one and create one super app.
But everything that Zuckerberg wanted to do but didn't do. So everything Facebook said they were going to do. Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that's what Facebook was going to evolve. I remember 2010. All right. TED Talk style, chat from Zuckerberg, and literally almost verbatim said this exact same thing. Then WeChat went ahead and did it. You know what? Look, if anybody can do it, I think it's Elon. Like he's got the money, you know. And what is like, but I also would say not only can he do it, but what's behind it? What's the why? Anybody like? Okay,
I think
cool.
to gain back the usership, right? I think is what he's trying to do there.
I think it's convenience in terms of just everything being on one app. It'll be like, yeah, it'll dominate the market if it does get adoption. And then, yeah, it'd be just great for the consumer to have everything they want to do just on one app.
I remember, people were talking about this when WeChat, kind of came out. Like there was so much fear of having everything in one place, right? I mean, I personally like to, look, there's a reason, yes, I have my wallet, but I diversify over multiple cards. If I lose one card, is it going to be the end of the world? Now, the truth of it is that when I lose this thing, I lose all of it. It's a shitty day. Jeff, when was the last time you lost your wallet?
Oh, I've misplaced
your phone.
Right? I've misplaced it before, but never lost it.
But it's a pretty
scary, very scary,
happens, right?
Yep.
So like, I mean, I even think, like I have 4 different bank apps, that I have to use, right? But, one was down the other day. I don't know, man. If everything was in one place, I don't know. Like they said, everyone's fearful on WeChat because of that reason, but it worked out. So if he's going to do it, he's going to do it.
Well, I guess the only concern that I would have is that if it's in one place, it's easier to tap in and access all at once versus like somebody stealing your wallet. They've got everything. They've got your license. They've got your home address, all your credit cards, and everything's gone, right?
I mean, face it. I mean, everybody.
But I think nowadays it's so easy anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, it's true though. I mean, if someone really wanted to get your information, they get your information, right? My question would be, is what is he doing with the data behind it? Because I understand the convenience, right? Like, a lot of people don't, realize this, but the original Facebook model was to charge customers for it. Yep. I don't remember if it was $6.99 or $15 a month or $25 a month or something. I don't remember what the amount was, right? But the original model was to charge people a monthly fee for this. All right. And therefore, being able to just offset how they actually monetize the data, that's a lot of data points in a singular app. I'd be curious to read the 57-page document of how and what they're going to do with the data that's being collected off of that.
How it's going to be used or stored or sold off, monetized. Yeah.
It's going to be monetized.
Obviously monetized.
Well, that's what these, like all of these, that every social network out there is just, it's a data collection farm. That's what it is. It's farming data all the time. Now, what they do with the data and the responsibility of that, now that can change, here's the thing, I think consumers out there, they're so scared of their data. The bottom line is your data is going to be collected. It is going to be shared. All right.
It already has been.
It already has been. Like, look, if you ever received any type of loyalty card or reward for anything, look, if you ever anything, nothing's free. If you ever signed up for anything that said, here, sign for this and get $1 off of this, you gave away your information. That's how it is. Every loyalty card in the world, every Kroger's card, Publix card, Shoppers card, Walgreens card, whatever, they all sold your data. Every single one of them sold your data. Like nothing, and I think that's one of the biggest arbitrages out there right now is data and how it's being sold off, or in what purposes are it being sold off. I mean, we're seeing a monster amount of that right now as we ramp up for the upcoming election. Like there are data farms. That's what these social networks are. So I would just, yes, you know what, Austin, I like the convenience. I would do it. Like there's convenience, right? So I would do it. But I would, be curious to know, what are they going to do with the data and how are they going to monetize it? It's going to happen. I mean, I would, if I'm getting enough, I would give up my data for value, right? It's an exchange, right? So like, if I got everything I need in one place, all right, you got my data.
Yeah, I think we talked about that before with automations and stuff, right? Like if you're going to use that data to serve me up something that I have shown interest in or something of interest to me versus just spaghetti attack at me, right? I don't need to see 100 different items, but if you know that I've been researched into, like 2 weeks ago, I was looking for basically a connector to take my pool vacuum skimmer down to the vacuum hose. Sorry, so like a 1.25 inch hose, and it's a 1.5 inch. So the difference is they don't really kind of do that thing. So I go to Home Depot, I go to Canadian Tire, everywhere, right? Guy at Home Depot's like, well, you realize it's different with plumbing, right? I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I'm in the store Googling because I can't find anything. He's like, inside and outside diameter for pool is different than plumbing measurements. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. At the end of the day, he suggested that I find a poly connector, but I, in the store, researched on Amazon, and I'm still getting, it's $1.49 hose connector.
And
I'm still getting served up occasionally. This is like a few weeks ago. Hey, we've got this. We found this one for you, right? It's crazy. So, I mean, in some respects, I don't mind when it's something that I've engaged with and showing interest, but I don't want to see every little device out there, right?
Yes. You know what? Look, you guys know I'm totally into fishing right now. So I get a lot of fishing ads, different poles, different reels, different baits, different lures. I don't mind it. I enjoy it because I didn't know a lot of this stuff existed, right? The funny one right now is I'm in market right now for a chainsaw. Does that sound dangerous that I'm getting a chainsaw?
For you? Yeah.
Here, well, look, I live in Nashville, Tennessee. What I've come to realize is that everybody owns a chainsaw here. Everybody. You get
when you get it, you got to make sure you give it a couple.
Well, you know me too. Like I go looking for a chainsaw, and I'm like, there's chainsaws, and then there's chainsaws. Like,
yeah.
Did you know that you could buy a competition chainsaw?
Oh, really?
I'm like, I want to be able to cut through a tree in 3.7 seconds.
It's the most Tennessee thing ever.
Well, you get.
Tell me they actually have competitions there.
Dude, you get these big windstorms that come, then these trees fall down, and they're just sitting in your yard, and you can't move the whole bloody thing on its own. You got to cut the damn thing down. So everybody here owns a chainsaw. I don't. I'm in market for a chainsaw. If anybody watching and listening, you got suggestions, hit me up. Let me know what I should get. There's one brand I'm trying to do because they use orange in it. It's an orange.
I knew it. But they're actually a really good brand. So
I know. All right. Sorry, Austin. What else you got?
Yeah, but just one point. The interesting part of that sort of X app, that everything app, would be, they have data on absolutely all your internet activities. So they would know you better than any singular platform that is just collecting data on that one side of your activities, So if they had your banking, they had your entertainment, they had your shopping activities, they would know you better than any other app.
No, like I said, I wouldn't be opposed to it. I think just to be a responsible adult these days, you have to ask the questions like, what are you going to do with the data?
And who's going to read?
I know I'm giving up
that are 27 pages, like you said, right? Like
I know. I just want to know. Like, it's not even that I'm necessarily going to disagree with it. I just think I want to know what you're going to ultimately end up doing with it. It's like, I think data is an incredibly powerful tool. It's what is it? What's that Spider-Man saying? With great power comes great responsibility. Like there's going to be great power in having that data, and what they do with it, I think, is important. All right. What else you got? I like this. This is crap that you found on the internet. Is that what we're doing?
Something like that. I want to see if you have any thoughts with this. We got Carvana is up 617% in 3 months.
You don't want to know why? Want to know why? Because you smell that? It's called profit.
Smells good.
It's right. It smells good. That is everybody right there smelling that fresh baked apple pie smell of profit, and they're all just kind of drawn back to it, right? So look, bottom line, these guys couldn't figure out a freaking way in the world to turn it to, to make a dime. And they've never been closer, right? They've never been closer. So yeah, it's that smell. It's like that. It's not fully baked, right? The pie's not fully baked, but people are beginning to smell it, and it smells good. So people are drawn back to it. But man, that would have sucked if you were. I mean, I wonder how many of those people also just bought back in because they feel horrible on how bad of an ass kicking they got over the last 6 months.
Yeah, what was it like a year or two ago, right? Like,
what was its all-time low? Pull it back up, Austin. What was its all-time low?
Yeah.
Just in the last 12 months. Was it $13 or something like that?
No, it was like $6.
$6. That's right. $6. Can you imagine?
yeah, but
From like $100 some odd down to 6 shares, and now you're back up to what was it today?
52 is at right now. I think it's at, right?
Man, look at me. Hey guys, I like roller coasters. I love a good roller coaster.
Peak was 349 August 2021. And it went down to $4 in December 2022.
I don't know. Look, I'm still the actual concept, like the concept. All right, makes sense to me. And I think dealers can do this. They can do this. They don't like the fact that Carvana is doing it. It's because dealers are too lazy to do it themselves, because they can do the exact same thing. If they really wanted to, they could do the exact same thing. In fact, they could probably do it better, but I do believe that there's still merit in the model. All right. I think from a user experience, there's still merit in the model, but they're getting closer. It's smelling better. That's what it is. Good for them.
But do you know, so did they solve the issue that caused?
Well, they sold off an obscene amount of their crap. They got rid of all the
real estate,
right? They got rid of all the fat. So they got rid of all the fat, slimmed it all down, right? And a lot of that profit for right now is actually coming from wholesale. It's not actually retail. That's one thing you don't see in a lot of those articles. It's a lot of wholesale business, and that's what's bringing them back in the black, right? No, look, I just their business, the model from a consumer experience perspective, I get. I don't think it's necessarily for everyone. It's still a model that's not been perfected. They still have issues as far as paperwork and what states require what signatures versus digital signatures. So there's still a lot
of kinks to work out there still,
But they trimmed down the fat. All right. They went hardcore in a wholesale model. All right. They're showing some profitability, and that pie is smelling better, and some people are coming back to it. I don't know if it's going to last forever, to be honest with you. Like it was a solid strategy. I'll give them props. Like, cheers. You guys, you had to do something. And you did it. It was a good strategy, and it was good enough to bring enough people back for the stock to come back up. Will it sustain? I don't know. You looked at it, man. That's a bloody roller coaster of a stock in the first place.
Imagine being along for that ride, buying at the low points, thinking, "Oh yeah, we hit the jackpot." If you stuck it out till 340, and then the next week you look at your app and you're like $4.
I look at it this way: it's like it's like, think of this as like a team that was on a winning streak. Then they drop off, for whatever reason, full belly syndrome, whatever. They're just not practicing anymore. They're just not connecting. Now they start to connect a little bit, and people were like, "Oh, they're taking notice," because historically they were, there were some highs, so they're taking notice again. But look, I think this is they just showed that they can win a little. They haven't shown they can win a lot yet, right? So it's like battle number one, they swung, they connected. But they still got 9 more innings, I think, to show us that they're actually going to be players here, right? So I'm not jumping to any conclusions. Good for them that they came up with the strategy so that they could, show some profitability. I'm personally, I'm not buying too much of a roller coaster for me.
So you said
Again,
dealers could do it better.
It's a model that dealers can do. You know, like if
who is really engaged with that kind of online purchase really in the dealer world, right?
Well, I think the model might have been a little early, right?
Yeah.
Look, guys, there was a point in time that, you know, we said the same thing about leasing, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that, but at one point in time, they're like, this is the stupidest model in the world. This is never going to work. No one's ever going to lease a car for a few years and bring it back. Like, this is ridiculous, you know? There's been models where people just bashed it. Like the same thing happened with the internet. I'm never going to have a website. I'm never going to do that. My customers come to my store to get pricing. Screw them if they want to go online. I mean, I've literally had, like, I've been in the business long enough where I actually had some of those conversations, you know, where people just looked me straight in the face and just said, screw you and your website solution. You know, my clients are going to come to my dealership, you know. So it's an evolution, and we all fight it in the very beginning, you know. Will it stick? Who knows? I mean, the model's not, I don't know. The model's not as old as people think it is. It's not as new. Sorry, the model's not as new as people think it is. You know? I mean, people have been in the car dealership long enough. They remember receiving faxes. Jeff, did you ever get those fax leads?
Yep.
You know, somebody from another state would send in a fax lead saying, I'm looking for this kind of pickup to this kind of price. If you can agree to it, ship it to me. Okay. You know, like, I mean, I worked at BDC in 2000, between 2006 and 2007. All right. You know, we drop shipped over 180 units across the country, you know, and, you know, we actually had to hire notaries, and notary had to go out and get the signatures and stuff like that. So, I mean, look, it's not necessarily just like a new model. Anyways.
Becoming acceptable though, even to like banks now, or they're coming on board and getting digital signature abilities to dealers, and so there's ways you can do certain things, right? But
okay, anytime there's so they call it an evolution of a model, we all, you know, rip it apart, right? TV was going to destroy us. Radio was the end of the world. Anyways, I digress. What else you got for us, Austin?
I feel like you've probably seen this car before, but have you seen the most expensive Cadillac in the world? $300,000.
Wow. Can I get it in orange? Do they make it in orange?
They did have colors here. What was it?
Jeez.
If I get an orange, I'm in.
Oh, they got an Aurora. That's almost orange.
What's it close to an orange? You know what? Yeah, I love
all electric.
I love when manufacturers do stuff like this. I absolutely love it. And the funny thing is, I think how many units did they agree to? And they sold out of the reservations like the first day or something like that. Yeah, I think they were
like
only
a lot of.
there was only so many reservations.
Super fan. Yeah, they have a lot of like throwbacks to the classic car, you know, like little Easter eggs and stuff that they put it into it. So if you're a super fan, like this is your ideal car, you know.
I love this. It takes me back to like old school, you know, back when, you know, car meant something, you know.
There was a lot of passion behind it, right?
You chose and design and build behind it, you know, and you know, you would have manufacturers that would build these low quantity, you know, vehicles like this, right?
Special off units,
yeah, special one-off units. You know, they just didn't build like this, but it's cool. Like, I mean, I will say from a design perspective, it is gorgeous. I mean, I love the lines on it. People look at the back end of it and they're like, someone just ripped the back end off of a BMW i8 and slapped it on there. I'm like, well, I think the ass end of a BMW i8 is beautiful. So I think you might as well slap it in a large sedan because that looks awesome. No, I think I think it's cool. $300,000 for a GM product though.
That's at the end of the day, you got to remember that. Don't worry, you're good for 3 years or $60K.
Yeah, like, but look, Cadillac was the epitome. I think it's cool that there's this throwback. I think it's cool that there's enough people out there that are willing to buy into, something like this. It is low production. We look. If you look at what Ford did, right, with the what's the supercar crap? I just had a moment. Jeff, help me out here.
Which car? Sorry. Oh, the GT.
The GT. There you go.
Whatever it was. Yeah.
Small production, throwback, great Easter eggs in that one, throwback, but a solid performing vehicle, like a very, very solid performing vehicle. So,
Yeah.
I think it's cool. And if in orange, but $300K for a GM product. I want to hear from anybody out there watching and listening. Would you pay $300,000 for a GM product? Well, I don't know. Look at the Corvette. I mean, people were paying what, $200K for a Z06 or Z06?
Yeah. And then they're selling them on at auction even higher. Like, it's
right.
Crazy.
Like, I don't know. The funny one.
I remember we were at the auto show too,
really
right?
Yep.
At the auto show, we saw that Cadillac section, and there was what was there? That new line of cars.
The jacked up Escalade.
Yeah. It was like
the
200 and some thousand.
It was like a 600 horsepower. It was like a 600 horsepower Escalade for
looked awesome.
That's Canadian, guys. So just it was maybe that's about 150, 160K US, but yeah, $200,000 Escalade. Again, it's a GM.
It was a shock. It was just like, really, like, where's the market for this? Given the climate of stuff that's been going on, and on top of all that, right? But they're still moving.
I think it's a good strategy. I actually think of it from a marketing perspective. Even if it's not profitable, I think from a marketing perspective, what it does is it just brings I think a significant amount of eyeballs back to the brand. It shows that at the roots of the brand, they can still be high end, really focused on performance, luxury, design. Like, I love it when companies do stuff like this,
All right, I'm going to read off some Elon Musk tweets, and you're going to tell me if he said it or not.
All right, this is going to be a fun part of the show. So let me get this straight. You're going to read off some random stuff, and then we got to tell you if he actually said it or not. So we're going to Jeff, how well do you know Elon Musk? Like, I follow. I don't know. I don't say I follow his tweets. I don't follow. That's the problem I have, guys. Like, I don't consume like any social media, like, at all. Like, I just don't, So okay, I don't know how good I'm going to be at this, but let's give this thing a shot. But I mean, I do. Like, I did watch the documentary or the couple documentaries that have been about him. So, okay, let me see if I can figure this out. All right, let's go. Let's do it.
All right. First tweet is, I knew birds weren't real. We just proved it. Next tweet is, once again, I'm being attacked for presenting new ideas. Third tweet, we should stop making our appliances so smart. Fourth tweet, man, if aspartame really does cause cancer, I'm dead as a door now. LOL.
I can guarantee you he did say that one.
And then the last one is, I hate when I wake up on a flight and there's a water bottle next to me. Like, oh, great. I have to be responsible for this. So,
all right. So we go back to number one and we'll work our way through the list. Is that how this is going to work?
I think that's how we should do it. Yeah.
Okay.
So did he say the birds are real?
Birds weren't real or something like that?
Say it one more time. Say it one more time. I
knew birds weren't real. We just proved it.
Okay. No, I don't think he said that. That doesn't sound. No, I'm going to say no.
Yeah, I'm going to agree.
No, he said that. That's a tweet.
Oh my god.
Now, that's the way we come out swinging right there.
We're 0 for 1. So he said that when he launched the X brand. Is that what he did?
Yeah, he's referring to the takeover of Twitter and turning it into X.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. He also had other tweets about
I will say
wanting
the
to get rid
guy's
of
like
all the birds.
one of the best PR person in the world. Even though um, I don't know how do you market X? Like that was the thing. Actually, when I first heard about it, I couldn't understand necessarily how I could brand or market X. Like there's, people use you tweeted something. I mean, to get a brand to the point where it's being used as a verb is amazing. You Googled it, you tweeted it, or even if like that's. But I mean, I guess if anybody can do it, it's going to be this guy. But I don't know
What's it going to be
it's called
referred to?
Xing now.
Expletive or
Called Xing? Do I exit?
triple X? I don't know. Like,
Did I just X that crap? You should totally X that. I don't know, Austin. Don't sound right.
Tweet
Okay,
sounds
anyways.
better to me, but
Well, I agree. I mean, like, I don't know. And like, how do you? I don't know. I mean, there's like tweet is just something that's kind of like it's funny. Like when people like, what does Google mean? Like it was just what is a tweet? It's brandable. You could probably put a copyright on it. How the hell can you copyright the letter X? Is this an episode of Sesame
I think I saw something that said
Is
it
he
already.
going to do an episode of Sesame? I could see him doing an episode of Sesame Street. Today's letter is X.
Brought to
And then
you by Elon Musk.
you by Elon Musk. Okay. All right. I digress. Next one. What do you got? What's the second one?
the second tweet was, once again, I'm being attacked for presenting new ideas.
Once again, I'm being attacked for presenting new ideas.
I could see him saying that.
I don't know.
What do you say, Jason?
He's got kind of this air about him. Like, would he even bother even saying that? I don't think. I think there's a level of confidence in him. All right, that he just doesn't even need to say that because that's a normal thing. That's like having eggs and bacon for him in the morning. Who doesn't get who's not saying some crap about something that he's doing. All right, I'm gonna say no.
So Jeff says yes. You say no.
Yep.
He did not say that. That was Kanye West.
It's Kanye West.
That makes more sense.
That was an accurate assessment. Yeah, like I feel like Elon doesn't get bothered by people attacking
What people are saying about him. True enough.
Like when I think of Elon, I think of like just like a racehorse. Someone who's just very, very good at naturally putting on blinders, just running the race, and the results of that race. That's when he will take the blinders off and give everyone the middle finger. You know what I mean? Like that was SpaceX in itself, right? It was just failure after failure, blinders, and then when he's done doing it and showed how inexpensively he could do it compared to every other company out there. To everyone. You know what I mean? Middle finger, everyone. Anyways, I digress. Go ahead. Let's go.
Third one is, we should stop making our appliances so smart.
Okay, this is funny because like I just bought all new smart appliances. Like I did. I mean, like my dishwasher now has an app. Serious, like it's being installed. Actually, they're being delivered today. I don't know what are they called.
What the hell do you need an app for? So you can start it from the couch. You don't have to get up.
Well, it'll tell me when it's done.
Oh, okay.
So it'll tell me-
Ding, 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 didn't
I
tell
need
you.
to know. Well, I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, okay, so I need to know, what cycle my dishwasher is on, and then
It'll
my
send
stove.
you KPI reports on its performance. I reviewed 1.2 parts per trillion measurement today.
Now the stove one I actually thought was kind of interesting because it's like how many times have like on the way home we're like, okay, the kids want a frozen pizza, and I know it's going to take like I don't
15
know,
minutes to warm up
15
the
minutes
oven or
for it to
something.
warm up. I mean, I can literally
makes
start
sense.
my oven from my phone. I don't know if that's a good thing. Is that a good thing? That might be scary.
Well, it probably says in the owner's
Imagine the
manual
insurance
not to do that if you're not in supervision of the oven, just to cover their ass.
Probably not supposed to do it when you're not in the house. In my head, it sounded like a good idea, though. I'm on my way home, turn the oven on.
Well,
But I will say though, all these here's my most annoying thing about connected appliances though. I don't know if you guys have noticed this because I have a bunch of them. The stupid songs they do.
oh,
So after every time my washing machine is done with a cycle, it's like and it's like a 30-second freaking
yeah,
song.
it's not. It's
Same
not
thing with
short.
my dishwasher. It's like dee dee do bum 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 ding ding booty beep beep beep. I'm like, what? And it's just like I have my appliances are just all singing songs these days, and it drives me nuts. And I'm like, it's not just like ding ding ding, letting you know something's done. No, it's a 30-second song. Like somebody actually got paid to program this crap into my effing appliances, and they thought
Samsung?
it was cool.
Are they Samsung appliances? That one
Yes,
is the same thing.
yes, they are. They sing. I don't know. Anyways, I digress. Okay, so did he say? I say yes because he's annoyed with it as much as I am.
I say yes.
Correct. Yes, Elon Musk did say that, and I think he's referring to the if they get so smart, like the whole what do you call that? The singularity, where technology or AI outsmarts human beings. Like, what will happen then?
Terminator.
Exactly.
My appliance gonna eat me. My appliance.
Get in the oven, Jason.
We could work
It's
together.
you know what? It's gonna get pissed off me one day and just turn on the gas and just leave it on. It's gonna.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
all right. I get it. Totally makes sense.
I want
Okay.
to fight back. All right, next one is I hate when I wake up in a flight and there's a water bottle next to me. Like, oh great, now I have to be responsible for this.
Okay, I'm trying to think because this has happened to me. I'm like, do I really give a crap? I'm like, you know what? I don't think you did because that doesn't seem to be for me. I don't think I would even be able to process that. Like, it wouldn't even be a thought. Like, this just seems like a to even think that is a waste of just brain space. You know, like what? Like, I'm just trying to think. What mindset do you need to be in when you wake up on a plane and you're like, oh shit, there's a water there, and I need to be responsible for that? That seems like just way too much brain effort for a guy like Elon. So I'm gonna say
Yeah.
he didn't say it because I don't even. It wouldn't even cross my effing mind to think that like, oh, this is an inconvenience because I have to be responsible for it. Like, what the heck? It's a fucking bottle of water. It's there. Drink it or don't drink it. Who the hell cares? Way too much brain power wasted on a dumb idea. I'm gonna say no.
Makes sense. I'm going
Jeff?
with that.
No, as well.
I agree. I'm going to go with
That-
that. Makes sense. The theory.
That was Kanye as well.
Okay, see, totally makes sense on who would waste their brain power on a stupid thought like that. Okay.
Yeah, it seems like you know Elon's thought processes quite well.
Well, I'm just thinking like
Um,
there's almost okay. So Elon, I can't remember. You're gonna have to find it for me, Oscar, because I remember the name of it. He actually has a methodology to how he approaches his day and his time management, and it's a pretty like actively practiced thing. And I practice portions of the exact same kind of thing. It's just there's only so much time in a day. There's almost so much brain juice you got, and you just can't waste it on stupid thoughts like that. That's just a stupid thought. It's just not worth it. But yeah, I don't know. Jeff? Would you even wake up and even just think like, oh my god, I have to take care of this bottle of water?
No. I'd probably crack it open and say, thank God I'm thirsty.
My question would be, why is it a bottle of water, not a brandy or scotch?
Yeah.
Why is it not? What? Do they not know me?
Well, especially
Why does this
him.
airline
He's
not
not
know?
flying with the regular airline, right? They better know
I
him.
double Woodford with rocks. That's what I want to wake up to.
apparently, Elon has his daily schedule broken into 5-minute intervals.
Yeah, and what's it called? I think there's a system to it. I can't remember what the system's called. Did you find what's called the system's called?
Um,
But I mean, I like this. Oh, time boxing. That's it. It's time boxing.
boxing.
That's what it's called. It's called time boxing. Look, I don't do it to his extreme, but I do practice portions of this technique. And I would think anybody that practices this type of technique called time boxing. And if you're watching and listening, by the way, and you are like, I mean, you want to take your productivity to another effing level, seriously look at this. I'm not saying you have to follow it verbatim, but there's definitely elements that you can tie into it. Time boxing is a real thing. It is, I call it, there was a book I read called Deep Work. It reminds me a lot of that. I kind of blend time boxing and deep work kind of at the same time. And honestly, at the end of the day, it's just about getting shit done. It's just, and it's documenting it, writing it, and pushing yourself. And I kind of keep it in my notes. So I kind of have like my constant to-dos, how those to-dos will rotate based on priority levels and stuff like that. So, but I just know anybody that would employ this type of methodology to their day would never have a stupid thought like that. So that was my whole point. There we go. What's the next one? I can tell you Kanye West does not time box.
He might hotbox. I don't know.
Yeah. He is time boxing, but also he likes hot boxing too.
Well, that's
He time boxed his hot box.
Right. Efficient.
That's how he closes the
Being
day.
productive.
The last tweet is, man, if aspartame really does cause cancer, I'm dead as a doornail. LOL.
Yeah,
Drink Diet Coke or Diet Pop.
I can see this 100% being true. I mean, I think, I remember like the very first early documentary I watched of Elon. It was just like, this guy just looked like just hardcore geek, right? Like, he grew up in a basement playing video games and eating Hot Pockets and 100% drinking anything that had aspartame and everything that had aspartame in it. Like, I don't see him being super health conscious. I could see, again, it's not a great thing, but you've seen his body weight fluctuate.
Well,
right?
he skips a lot of meals too, right? So
Yeah,
I mean,
he fluctuates. So I don't know how much. I mean, I'm sure he probably at one point had someone employed that was maintaining and watching his intakes and stuff. But like, yeah, I'm going to say yes. I think he did say it.
Yeah, I think so. Cool.
You are both correct. He did say that.
Did they say what drink in reference to? Like, I'm curious because
Diet Coke
Did
is
not.
my
That
guess.
was just a tweet.
just a tweet. Diet Coke is your thing, right,
tweet.
Jeff? I've seen you have cases of that crap.
No, not Diet Coke. I don't drink Diet Coke.
Oh, is it not
Once
you?
in a while, if I've got like after you've been sick or when you're just about to get sick, you get that your throat is like scratchy and irritated.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go and buy a Diet Coke and just chug it because it like seems
That
to
has
burn
never once
the
crossed
shit
my
out of your throat. But I don't really like that.
So it
I drink
kills
I
bacteria,
appreciate
is what you're saying?
Like I have to admit, that's some interesting logic, Jeff. Because I'm normally when my throat is scratchy or something like that, I go get a cough drop. You go get a Diet Coke.
Yeah.
So I might have to try this strategy.
Right. No, but it's like it actually kind of gets rid of that.
Because it coats the crap out of your mouth. Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah, no, hey, it makes sense. I mean, I know some people that are addicted to ass. Like, I mean, just hardcore. But
well, my aunt drinks probably like 3 or 4 Diet Cokes a day. I'm like, how?
My mom, up until probably about 10 years ago, was at a definite 6-pack a day Diet Coke.
Holy mackerel!
Like just hardcore. Like I think at one point she even said we could bury her with a case of Diet Coke. I think that's changed since then. But yes, I think there's 100%. There's enough. I think reports out there and proof that aspartame does not process well in your body. Can it cause cancer? I don't know. It seems like this day's.
Well, they've been talking about that since the 80s, so I can't imagine.
Yeah,
I mean, probably everything does, so why not? But
100%. God, though, I mean, but you know what, though, at car dealerships, dude, I mean, I knew guys were they would have cases just sitting next to their desk, Coke or Diet Coke or something like that. I remember, when Monster is still a pretty big thing, but I remember Monster was huge in the late 90s and early 2000s. And it's just like, guys just literally show up to Saturday morning meeting with like 3 Monsters in their hands. And I'm like going, I will say, I think car dealerships probably add a good percentage of consumed aspartame in the entire country for sure. Anyways, did we have any others or did we go from? Did we go? What was our score? How did we do? How did we do? What was
I think Jason won by getting 4 out of 5, and then Jeff got 3 out of 5.
Sorry, Jeff.
It's all good.
It's probably like the 9th time I've ever actually used that board for something. So I'm really happy. I got
7 were the other day.
Yeah, the other day was the other day. All right.
All right, here is Volkswagen's funny advertisements.
Volkswagen's had some of the best commercials, like some of the best marketing campaigns ever. So I would love to find out which one you chose, because I'm not a huge Volkswagen fan, but I am a huge Volkswagen marketing fan. I can't remember the name of the gentleman, but to me, he was probably one of the most ingenious message developers of our just of the last 100 years. Like, okay, so which one did you pick? Let me lay it on us.
I mean, this one's pretty funny. I don't know any of the context, but it just says lemon underneath this car. I feel like there's a story there, but don't know what it is. It's ugly, but it gets you there.
There's so much truth and beauty in their messaging. It's ugly, but it's going to get you there. All right, that's true. What else? What was your favorite of this?
There's a few videos later on that are pure gold.
Are they pure gold? Do we get to
play help you up the corporate ladder? Just drive it into work, and just drive it into work early and work really hard. Very true.
You know what? Maybe the reason I think I've been so passionate, I love Volkswagen marketing, because it's just like, to me, it's like Mr. Obvious, right? Like, there's like, you got to understand, like, at this point in time, in the 50s and 60s is where it started, and it is gone all the way up until this point. But this is when vehicles became a lifestyle, not just a modes of transportation. Do you know what I mean? Now, you might have saw bits and pieces of that going into like the Roaring 20s, but that was still a very small niche percentage. And, the 30s and 40s, it was about practicality, and there was still a very small niche when it comes to lifestyle. But the 50s and 60s is when it started. And it started that, like, the vehicle you drove represented, it was a representation of you. And it was representation of your class. If you were, upper class, mid-level, because you got to think that's when you got, middle class is when you saw middle class get developed in the 50s and 60s. All right. So people were leaving the cities, they're building these suburbs, and we created this middle class. And, so now you started getting, well, it's like, okay, well, I got to represent myself. There was this need, this desire to represent myself and to define who I was to everybody out there that was looking at me or knew something about me. So you saw, you saw so much. I mean, the one I like, and I think we watched it the other day, is the 1955 Ford T-Bird. All right. The spokesman for 1955 Ford T-Bird was one of my favorite individuals in the world, Bing Crosby, right? An iconic character, and you literally see him say it, it's like, if you're not a Ford man, then you're not a man. It's just like, he's just implying, this type of like, if you want to be like me or similar to me, or have this type of, let's call it swagger. All right. You drive a T-Bird. All right. You don't drive something else. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning of this amazing movement in marketing. And you still see this today where, like, I mean, look at Jeep. Okay. Like, every Jeep Wrangler advertisement out there you're going to find is it driving up the side of a mountain or going through a freaking river. Yet over 90% of Jeeps sold never leave the pavement because they're selling a lifestyle. And then here comes Volkswagen. And it doesn't do that. It's like everybody out there, right, is just saying that you're not a ladies' man if you don't drive this, and you're not a guy's guy if you're not driving that, and you're not a you're not a. It was so much of that, and then Volkswagen comes out in the 50s and 60s, and they go the polar opposite direction of that, and it was almost just like obvious and truth and just simplicity. And I think it did such an amazing job of cutting through this noise where you need to be represented by the vehicle you drove, or just necessarily the practicality. It's ugly, but it's going to get you there. So, you're kind of going like anti, what am I trying to say? What was socially acceptable? What was, what people, you're kind of
Politically correct, maybe.
Let themselves,
yes,
right?
yes. You're being the anti version of that. I love it. Okay, give me another example. I love the one that's working. That's great. You want what? You want to climb the corporate ladder? Drive this car to work and work your ass off.
Get there early and work really, really hard.
Yeah. Get to work early and work really hard. And this
There
one's
you
just an ostrich in a cheetah costume. Fast just got faster.
That was a recent ad too, I think.
That was pretty
Was it?
recent.
I think so. I think that tagline came out a couple of years ago. 2 years. Again, my concept of time is gone.
So 1964 snowplow commercial.
This could be good.
I don't think I drive a Volkswagen, a snowplow. Okay, there's no way that thing even moved in that type of snow.
Well, it probably could. They always had the smaller tires.
That's true. Little skinnies, right?
Have you ever wondered how the man who drives a snowplow drives
I
two
remember this
snowplow?
one. Seeing before.
This one drives a Volkswagen. So you can stop wondering.
You can stop. I love it. See, it's just that's not lifestyle. That's practicality, right? Like here was the thing in the 50s and 60s. Everybody was marketing at their consumers and telling their consumers that they needed to own this to be this, right?
Yeah.
Or Volkswagen with the polar opposite of that. And they were talking to their consumers, not at their consumers. You got another example of this? What'd you find?
Yep. Oops.
Sorry, a little technical problem. We'll get it fixed.
It's all good.
Austin. We got a little polar bear here. A polar bear? A dog? What is that? Air conditioning.
On the outside of the car. Some of these European commercials, never mind
Volkswagen.
fucking hilarious.
Auto.
So that was about air conditioning and the power of VW's air.
There we go. Like, I will say, there's nothing sexy about Volkswagen's commercials. Do you know what I mean? Like, they never claim to be glamorous and sexy. They just practical. And anyways, I love it. I think Volkswagen did such a good one.
This is my favorite one of the bunch.
Favorite? Okay, all right. Let's see your favorite. What do we got?
This one. This one's
Is this
interesting.
Star Wars one? It's pretty scary.
This is obviously a remix. Like, what the heck's going on here?
Well, this is pretty good. There's deep fake here. We've got Gene Kelly. There we go. This is Gene Kelly. Okay.
Yeah. Dancing in the rain, or singing in the rain or something, right?
Singing in the rain.
Huh.
The new Golf GTI just got updated. The original got updated. I love it. I think that's awesome.
I've never seen that one.
I'm also a big Gene Kelly fan, so that's also very helpful too. It's actually one of my kids' favorite scenes. See, there you go. That was the other thing that I think you're going to find if you go back and you look at a lot of the Volkswagen especially take a look in the 70s. Even during the time of war and stuff like that. The one thing I found very interesting with Volkswagen is that they kept it very, call it socially relevant. A lot of their marketing was always very socially relevant to the time, right? I love it. Big fan of Volkswagen marketing, and I think there's a lot of things that we can learn. The dealerships out there can learn from that and actually put into their marketing efforts. Right now, I think that 100% they can learn into that. I think the one thing you see there is the consistency in being socially relevant, right? At that time, right? So it's not marketing for making marketing, but it's marketing for what is going on in the world at that given moment, and then I also think that there's just this level of kind of practicality that comes with it. It's like, guys, we were talking about this a little bit earlier when we were talking about emails, right? It's just like excuse me, to make this long drawn out email that's, hey, how's it going? I hope your family's good, just to get to a point in the email, a singular sentence that actually is the point of the email. It's the same thing with the marketing here. Like, there's no fluff. There's not fluff around it. It's just straight to the point. And I think that there's value in being very transparent and straight to the point with that. I'm not trying to sell you a bill of goods. All right. At the end of the day, I'm just trying to sell you a car. All right. And here's just one of 100 reasons why you should buy this. That's okay. I think there we go. That is what, if you could take away from Volkswagen, that I think dealers struggle with today, is Volkswagen was very good at just why a Volkswagen, right? Where other manufacturers didn't go that direction. They went the other direction. They're like, if you want to be represented like this, you need this. So if you want to be known
like Bing Crosby, you can.
Yeah, like if you want to be known as an outdoors mountain climbing person, buy this, right? If you want to be known as somebody who is successful and has made their career, buy this. If you want to be known as someone who's is environmentally conscious, buy this. So what they're doing is we're building products that match something that you want to be represented by. And like I said, Volkswagen didn't do that. And I think that dealerships can do the exact same thing. It's like, you don't need to necessarily represented by it. It's just like, here's my why. Here's the why actually purchase this. I've said this again on multiple podcasts out there, right? I mean, the best marketing strategy is not what you do, because guess what? You got a 35-foot sign outside your dealership that says exactly what you do. All right. Why you do it, the way you do it, that's why people want to connect with it. And that's ultimately what they want to purchase. That's why they purchase from you, from somebody else. It's not because of what you do, because you do the same thing that 37 other dealerships do. All right. You sell and service whatever brand you are.
Flags on your building.
Flags on your building. You sell and service it. That's great. That's the what is there. All right. Too much marketing out there is around the what. All right. Like, the marketing around the why. Why did you buy this? Why am I connecting with this? It's not what you do, it's why you do it, the way you do it, that people ultimately want to buy. And I think that's one thing that you'll find consistent in some of the marketing with Volkswagen, is they were very good about practical whys. Those were good ones.
I think they're doing it in a fun and entertaining way too. So they're driving home that why in a very consumable method. Like, they're putting a lot of effort into how they present that why.
Yes. And look, we've had some great examples of that in dealership world. Like, let's take a look at the Badger. Look, it's an iconic marketing. The Badger commercials were incredibly iconic, and God, I think they're over 20 some odd years old now. But all right, there was. Are they 30?
Oh, I'd say at least.
Are they really? Holy crap!
So what do you?
Joe, guys, pull one up. Pull
it up. This is
Who
fun.
doesn't like a good Badger commercial?
Say, let's go inside and make us a deal.
Well, can I take on a test drive first?
All right, I'll go get the keys. I don't want to spend all day doing this, I got a lot of cars to sell. Let's go back and do a deal.
Well, can I take it on the highway first?
Hey, if this is gonna be a joyride, I got paying customers back there on the lot.
Tired of being badgered? Come to any Johnson Automotive dealership. Great deals, great service, no badgers.
Hey, buddy, how about us making us a deal?
Well, this was my favorite.
I like her a
My
lot.
favorite.
How much wiggle room we got on the price?
Wiggle room?
Wiggle room.
I'll show you wiggle room. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Wiggle, wiggle, ooh, wah, ooh. Wiggle, wiggle, wah. Wiggle, wiggle, woo. How's that? Huh? We got us a deal going. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Wiggle, wiggle, whoa. Wiggle, wiggle.
Tired of being badgered? Come to any Johnson Automotive dealership. Great deals, great service, no badgers.
Yep, you're
Come
gonna
on,
look
dude.
good in that
Yeah,
car.
that's not good.
So we ready to sign this deal?
Well, guys, I mean, there's so much practicality to the messaging here, right? It's just a simple why, tired of being badgered, come to us, right? Like they didn't go into detail how they're a family-owned company and they're number one in CSI and blah 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 blah. No, it was a simple, practical message. Are you tired of getting badgered? Just come see us. That's it. Simple, practical, all right, socially relevant. When these videos were coming out, it was very well kind of perceived as going out and buying a car was just, someone was going to be badgering the crap out of you or bugging you. There's another great one too called the Trunk Monkey. If anybody out there watching and listening and you want to look up another good one, it was the Trunk Monkey. I like the Trunk Monkey because it goes more into the why. But guys, like this is what we're talking about. These are just two amazing, iconic examples of, but you understand like what at the core of both these examples, it's not come buy a car for me because I'm family owned and I've been in the area for 57 years and my dad's been running the dealership, blah, 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 blah. That's not it. All right. It's the why. It's simple, practical, socially relevant why. And these look, there's so much simplicity in that messaging that here we are 20 some odd years later, and we're still talking about it. Like, I mean, Jeff, how many sales people don't know the Badger?
Oh, everybody has watched it there, I'm sure.
I mean, dude, it's so iconic. They
I
actually
think it came out in 07, right? So it's like 20 something years ago now, right? Like
dude, it's 20 some years ago. Like, I mean, it's just, but because there's simplicity and there's real relevant value around it. It's just, that's what someone wants to, like, why do I want to buy something from you? This is simple because we're not going to badger you. You're not going to get this experience. We got some time. You want to pull up a Trunk Monkey commercial?
I don't know if I've seen that one.
You've never seen the Trunk Monkey?
I don't think so. I can't remember.
It was a group in Detroit. I want to say it was a suburban group. Maybe I'm wrong, though. It's been a long time. Did you find it, Austin?
Yeah.
Oh, you got to pass
that here first.
There we go. Here we go.
I do remember this now.
The Trunk Monkey Theft Retrieval System. Because sometimes getting your car back is simply not enough. Another revolutionary idea.
Jeez.
You'll only find at Suburban Auto Group.
There we go, Suburban Auto Group.
Here we are.
I still can't believe my dad let us even touch his new car.
Yeah.
The monkey slaps the guy as he goes in for a kiss.
Hey.
Man, you couldn't do this today.
The Trunk Monkey Chaperone version. An innovative idea you'll only find.
Okay, so let's break this one down. The Trunk Monkey. Look, the Trunk Monkey gave personality, right? It was fun and entertaining, and I think that when you think of going to purchase a vehicle, fun and entertaining is not what you think of. And this was just a great example of a group saying, like, look, we're a bit different, okay? We like to have a giggle just as much as anybody else. So here you go. Here's a Trunk Monkey.
The other one was I always liked was the Robert De Niro one.
Oh my gosh, that wasn't even a commercial. That was a movie.
Yeah, in the movie. What movie was it though? I can't
You
remember.
you want to talk to the boss?
Yeah,
It
was so
we'll
funny.
save that. We'll save that for another. We'll save that for another.
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. We'll find it and pull it
Because
up.
we'll have Austin go out and find like most iconic like automotive like movie clips and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
You know, that's a good one though. We're gonna have to get that one. All right. What else? We're getting towards the tail end. What else we got for today's docket?
We can talk about the Pontiac Aztec and the strategy fail there. Where did they go wrong, Jason?
Where did they go right?
I was gonna say, yeah. I was gonna say, where did it go right? Look, I think anything out there. Like I every good idea doesn't necessarily end in a good idea. You know, I think of the Pontiac Aztec, and I'm reminded of this episode from The Simpsons. By the way, search that out for me real quick while we're doing this. All right, there's a scene where Homer's brother, all right, owns a car manufacturer, right, and you know, and he has this great idea that he's going to let his brother Homer, all right, design a car of the future. Right. And, you know, and it's kind of making fun of some of the manufacturers like at that point in time, because, you know, it was just like constant, like, well, I don't care. I don't need to know what he's doing. It doesn't make any difference to me. You know, just let him do whatever he wants, you know, and it's just because I think at that point in time, there was some things that were coming out in cars that were so ridiculous. Like, how the hell did you even think that was a good idea? You know, and then here comes the Pontiac Aztec. And it was like the perfect epitome of like, how the hell did this thing get past a group of people that said, yeah, let's do
this.
You know, let's take something that kind of looks like a minivan, but rides a little bit more like a crossover. And let's put like monster chunk of plastic all the way around it. And, you know,
this fall off, by the way.
Oh, yes. Yeah. You know, it's like, we're going to create this adventure vehicle. Okay. You found the Simpsons episode. All right, here we go. Homer building a car.
Okay, Homer, pick out anyone you want.
Are you sure you want to give me a car?
Hey, you know what these things cost me? There's maybe $40 worth of steel in them.
Oh.
Is he making fun of the
Yeah,
black
I'd like a
house?
big one then.
We don't have a big one.
Why not?
Because Americans don't want big cars.
Well, then give me one with lots of pep.
Sorry, our cars don't have pep.
Why not?
Because Americans want good mileage, not pep.
Homer, tell the nice man what country you come from.
America.
Do you hear that, you morons? This is why we're getting killed in the marketplace. Instead of listening to what people want, you're telling them what they want. Homer, I need your help.
You do?
Yeah. I want you to help me.
Okay. Now you got to fast forward it to actually find the actual car itself.
Out there. And
You know, I
I
think towards the end.
do. From now on, before you say anything,
Free car, little ball.
Yeah,
And
right.
some things are so snazzy they never go out of style, like tail fins and bubble domes and shag carpeting.
Shag carpeting.
Uh-huh. All right. Okay, this
Job.
Can do, Mr. S.
And sometimes the kids are in the back seat. They're hollering. They're making you nuts. There's got to be something you can do about that.
Maybe a built-in video game would keep them entertained?
You're fired. What is my brother paying you for?
What about a separate soundproof bubble dome for the kids with optional restraints and muzzles?
Bullseye! And another thing,
Muzzles.
when I got the motor, I want
Muzzles.
people to
Right.
think the
That's
world
perfect.
is
That's enough.
coming
Thanks.
to an end.
All right. I think the fact that, you know, he's designing a vehicle where there's going to be muzzles and restraints for your kids. Sign me up. I will put my pre-order in. I'll put my pre-order in right now. But to the point, it just seemed this is what the Aztec was just some one person's kind of crazy idea, not necessarily thinking of who was actually going to use the thing, or like, this is what everybody wants and I don't need to know about anything else and I'm just going to go and build it. And that was the Pontiac Aztec. Now I have sold this car. I have. It was actually probably one of the first cars. I would say, because really, really early on when I was a salesperson, I'd be willing to say it was probably one of the first 10 or 12 cars I ever sold was this Aztec. And I remember it. And the reason I remember it is because there was a $500 spiff on this car.
Oh
It
yeah.
had been on the lot. It was the yellow one. It had been on the lot for such a long period of time that there was. I mean, that's how back in the day you got rid of used cars. You just spiff them. Which, by the way, now that's another podcast. It's a stupid strategy, but anyways, it was like I was young. $500 meant a really good night out for me and my buddies. All right, I was sure the hell going to sell this car. That was and it was that Saturday I made the commitment. It means every person that came in, regardless of the vehicle they were interested in, I was going to show them this Aztec, right? And, and I
Someone's
remember
gonna
how I
buy
did it.
this thing.
I remember how I did it. I actually went and got the keys, and I kept the keys in my pocket all day long. I actually moved the car around back, so you couldn't see it. All right, so they would come in, they look for something. I said, "Man, that's amazing, but you know what? I got something for you. It's around back. It's not up front. I'm not showing it to everybody. I got to show you this." Right. And I would take them around back, and that failed multiple times. But I did sell that day by the end of the day. And I think the only reason I sold it was because I hid it out back and I made it a thing. I made it a thing. But I convinced somebody that this was your perfect adventure vehicle. Why buy a Jeep Wrangler when you can own an Aztec? Was pretty much that day.
Well, they said from 2001 to 2005. I did a quick Google search here because I couldn't even remember when that thing came out. But around 119,000 Pontiac Aztecs were actually produced before GM finally pulled the plug on it, right?
2002, it was, or 01. Maybe it was 01.
Yeah, 01 to
I
05,
started in
right?
2000. So, and then I didn't get into sales. So yeah. Well, it would have been 2000 as a 2001 model. That's what it would have been. So yes.
So GM needed to sell in the first year at least 30,000 units, and they missed the mark.
How many did they sell the first year?
27,000 the first year. I don't know how the hell they sold.
I sold one of them.
Well, you were
I
contributing.
sold one of them that first year.
You contributed to the burden.
I contributed to the burden. I occasionally still see them on the road, and it just cracks me up, But there's been examples of that in the past as well.
But I think that's an interesting story to where nowadays you hear so much about how salespeople are just order takers and they're not really selling the vehicle, And I think as people have a bunch of stock that they need to get rid of, where the supply is not low anymore, I think people do need to become more like your story just talked about, coming up with creative ways to sell a vehicle.
Got to be strategic, guys. I guess that's what it is, right? I mean, that's actually a really good point, Austin, and it's valuable insight there. I think there was a bit of showmanship required. I think when I first started selling cars, and Jeff, you were probably the same too, right? Like there was a bit of showmanship that had to kind of go along with it, and there's a fine line between showmanship and then just being like straight up cheesy and maybe sometimes unethical, right? So like, I mean, showmanship, I don't want people to think that there's like, you can be a showman and not cross a line, right? I mean, but definitely there had to be some strategic strategy behind it, like me moving that car to the back of the lot and not leaving it up front. All right, was a strategy. And what I did is I created kind of this, what is that? I only had a handful of them come in, and there was this yellow one, and that's the one I moved in the back. And I wasn't showing it to everybody. I was only showing it to a handful of people. I showed it to everybody. But there was but yes, I think that is missing. That is missing today. There's the and I don't want to say selling, because I don't think I ever harsh sold anyone, right? But there was a bit of showmanship, I think to it, and I think that's been lost over the last few years. Where it's just like, look, we all know that the vehicle that 7 times out of 10, the vehicle that the customer comes in for is not the one they ultimately end up purchasing. But because of inventory issues and chip issues and a half a dozen other issues over the last few years, it's pretty much just whatever the hell we have on the lot, that's what you're going to take. And if you don't want it, I don't really care. Let's just move on, right? So yes, for sure, that art of presenting, that art, that showmanship has been lost over the last few years. Don't you think? Don't you think, Jeff?
Yeah, even like just seeing, we've done a couple private sales recently, right? And customers going out on a test drive and not even going on the test drive with them. That's just unfathomable. I almost had like coronary at the dealer. I'm like, you just sent a customer. So the customer came back on a fairly new technology vehicle, plug-in.
They'd never driven themselves.
Never
Like,
been in their life. They had a very similar gas version, a couple years older, but not as much technology. And the customers went out. They were back within 4 minutes. And I said, what happened there? And the salesperson said they didn't like it. They felt like there was too much going on. Because it's got, gauges that'll tell you that the engine's running and the power is being driven to the batteries. Not the engine's running to drive the car. It's driving the generator, or the how it's generating all the power, how many kilowatts it's using. And screens on screens on screens that you can go through, right?
Oh, like
I
think
went to the GM and I said, why did the salesperson not go on the test drive? Oh, they normally do. I said, I haven't seen a single person go on a test drive all week. And to me, it was always important to not just go with them, drive the car first so that I could talk about the features. This is what's going to happen.
Of course.
And hey, I've had something silly happen where the dealer plate was put on the wiper arm, right? And it flipped around because it was windy. And the customer was like, oh, what was that? I'm like, it's probably just a dealer plate, because they would have been freaked out thinking there was something wrong with the car if they were by themselves, right?
Actually a good example.
I've had a customer leave it a Tiptronic in the lower gear by accident. They went too far and passed drive, right? Think there's something wrong with the transmission. I'm like, no, you just got to pop it back into drive here.
Well, but you're right, though.
You've got to be there to explain certain things, like you said, and get them excited. Like, show them the cool new technologies, how it works, make them comfortable. I'm not saying you got to go for a 40-minute test drive, but 3-4 minutes down the road, designated route that you normally take, pull over, let them go, and just answer their questions if they have any, right?
Dude, 100%. I mean, look at today, the Hyundai Elantra has over 10.5 inches of screens.
It's crazy.
So, I mean, just to put that in perspective, the distance between here and here is, roughly about, 6 inches. So, there's, and so there's going to be about this much screen in a Hyundai Elantra. There's going to be a lot of crap on there. It's going to be a lot,
and different pages. There's so much, like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a 18-inch screen back there.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Like, there are, what is it? The new Mercedes has like 31 inches of screen.
It's the whole dash.
It's the entire bloody dash.
It is.
It
looks awesome, but it would be a lot to take in.
Yes, and you're 100% right. I think so much now with new hybrid technologies and so many new EV, I think there's some amazing salespeople out there that are doing great jobs.
Yeah,
but I think there's a large portion, especially the people that have been around for the last few years, that why give them the training? What are they need training for? If it's in stock, they're going to buy it. Whatever. That we are going to have to get back to basics and teach these people how to be consultants, not order takers. I think honestly, they should never been an order taker. They should have been always a consultant, right? Because people are coming.
You want to build, to me, the relationship for the long term is really what it is, right? And I think also, yes, there was inventory things that exasperated it, but even before we had these inventory issues, it seemed to me there was a decline in that showmanship with salespeople because they were feeling the customer already knew everything from the internet. They had way more information, right? So they didn't really maybe know themselves, so they didn't really want to get involved. So they kind of just lost that art of narrowing down and showing the customer the features and the benefits that were explained to them from the customer, that they pulled out to say, this is what I'm looking for in a car, right? Because like the people you showed that Aztec to, they probably weren't looking for that Aztec when they walked in.
I can guarantee you they were, but I blew their mind. Blew their mind when
there was something that resonated
when they drove away at that Aztec. They were grinning ear to ear, and they were just the coolest, hottest thing on the road at the time.
For sure.
No, you're right. You're right. The industry definitely needs to kind of get back to some basics. I think there's some amazing operators that are doing that, but I still think there's a lot of room, and then we can complain how we're losing market share to, companies like Carvana and other stuff out there. It's like, well, I mean, look, if you're not going to go the distance and provide, all right, an actual purchase experience, then why do I even need one? What would I need a purchase experience for? This is just going to be like ordering something off of Amazon, Yeah. Like, I mean, like it's funny. I just bought a new pair of shoes, and like Amazon's, you want to try it out for 7 days before you buy it? I'm like, really? Like, okay. So I bought a new pair of boots, try them out for 7 days before I decide I want them or not. Like, I mean, it's, it's becoming more of a socially acceptable thing. But the reason I'm saying this is because, there's, what is the buying experience when I go in to buy a pair of boots? Nothing. There's a wall of boots. Go pick one out.
You're lucky if you can find somebody to help you get the
I'm
size.
lucky if I can help, let alone answer any of my questions of which one is actually good or bad or why I should look at this.
They don't check to see if it fits your feet. Nothing.
Nothing. So why would I not just, I know I'm a size 10. I'm not gonna just order it online. And I just think that as an industry, if we continue to not provide a buying experience, right? Then why not just order it online for an Amazon and I'll get a 7-day trial and then I'll return it if I don't like it. Anyways, I know we're like the tail end of our conversation today. Austin, was there anything you wanted to finish off with us today, or?
That's it for today.
That's it for today. This was good, guys. I like this. It was a lot of fun. Well, hey, everyone out there watching and listening, we really appreciate you taking the time to listen to us ramble. This is something that we're going to do on a regular basis. So please watch out when you get notifications when these things come in. Again, we appreciate you taking the time watching or listening today. Thank you, everyone. Have yourselves an amazing day.
Have a good one, guys.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to the Coffee with Jeff and Jason podcast with your hosts, Jeff Tessier and Jason Harris. Don't want to miss out on new content? Be sure to check out the full podcast library at strategywithjason.com to stay in the know. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Happy podcast.